no land has been taken under the law that they're citing. So why are we just making things up at this point?
This brings together three themes that we consistently see around Trump world. White privilege, right? They get it because they're white, and the brown immigrants don't get it. White victimhood. And he believes a myth that is not true, and he's basing this on a myth that's not true, and he's repeating the myth as if it's true, and except asking us to believe that it's true. This is consistent of what we see with him, that certain people had to be thrown out of the country without even getting due process and go to a concentration camp, and other people are being welcomed in. I wonder what Elon's part in all of this is also.
Well, we know, because this is a huge hobby horse for Elon. But just to your point, I mean, they've been revoking visas of U.S. students for speaking out about Palestine. They are screening visitors to the United States for what they're calling anti-Semitic views, which could include anti-Israel views. But here's who they just let in. According to the New York Times, an Afrikaner granted refugee status linked to anti-Semitic posts, including Jews untrustworthy. I mean,
yeah, neo-Nazis come in all different forms. Shouldn't be letting them in. But can I speak specifically to the Afghan refugees? This is a complete missed opportunity for President Trump, and I seriously hope he'll reconsider it. He ran in big part by saying that Joe Biden totally botched the Afghan withdrawal, and I agree with him on that. And he betrayed allies that served alongside us, translators that worked with our forces in Afghanistan for 20 plus years. Those people are going to go back to beatings, to potentially being killed, to potentially being jailed. It would be a moment to say, this president keeps his words to those who fought alongside American forces. It's absolutely horrific that we would think of sending
them. But we're conflating, though. The Afghanistan situation is not fully resolved yet. Trump said this week that there are some religious minorities who he believes maybe face persecution in Afghanistan, and they may need to be protected here. We also, it's the temporary protective status for the writ large for Afghans that Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, has revoked. That does not mean that the administration can't, in each individual case, allow those who worked with our troops as translators and drivers to stay. So let's give them time to fully implement this policy. I think they should do that.
My fear, having worked on Civ, though, which is specifically to people who worked alongside U.S. forces, is that they will be rounded up, and then many of them are Muslims. Most are not Christian Afghans who would be spared from this, and those are people who could face, frankly,
if you helped our troops in the field and your life's going to be at risk because of it, you absolutely should be allowed to stay.
All of that, I think, is a fair and fine debate. But they just created a special status for white South Africans.
No, it's crazy.
Based on a lie that they are experiencing genocide. None of that fits into any framework of rationality. And it also doesn't even fit into a framework of coming into the United States should be reserved for people, who meet special criteria.
I think he's clouding.
Except for race. I mean, I guess being white is the only criteria
Joe Biden was
about.
very aggressive in redefining the categories in the immigration system. It's what he did on Haiti and Venezuela was unprecedented. And I think Donald Trump, who rightly criticized that, is risking his critique of those moves being clouded by this.
But don't you think even Haiti and Venezuelans are entitled to refugee status more than
the refugee status is in law. You're entitled to refugee status.
The conversation has been about making America whiter, right? And that has been the core of it. So we're pulling in these people and pushing other people away because they're not white. You were making a great point about, like, these Afghans who fought for that's fantastic, but that is not what we're talking about. And that is not the world that Donald Trump has campaigned.
Wait a minute. The bite you just cut was just the bite that we just showed. He was cut off when he said they happen to be white. He goes, I don't care if they're black.
Hold on. Listen, the policy, Brad, I don't care what Donald Trump just said. The actual policy that they are putting into place applies to white South Africans based on the idea that they are having their land dispossessed. White South Africans are 7% of the population. They own 72% of the farmland. Right. Black South Africans, 81% of the population. And by the way, indigenous to South Africa own 4% of the farmland. What are we talking about
Michael Eric Dyson said to me one time, Mike, I hate to be incredibly reductive, but sometimes you can only reduce it to that. Look, I'm not trying to make a joke here. Like, I live in Miami. There's 700,000 Venezuelans, Cubans that are TPS status. You talked about the visas roundup at FIU, where I live right next to. 18 students or so were rounded up. All of them, guess what shade of color? Anybody want to take a guess?
Brown.
So, like, we at some point, we have to start calling things out for what they are, face value. I get what you're saying. Give them time. maybe there's a PR play here of like, hey, you know what, these folks helped us from a translation standpoint in the war, and we can get them. But at the end of the day, they're helping white people, and they're displacing black and brown.
And the one caveat to this, which is unresolved, is he has talked about deporting Ukrainians, but that you could read the political reasons into it.
I was going to say.
There's a slight difference.
I would say this: that he is winning on immigration in so many ways. He needs to restrain himself and not.
No, he's literally not.
You think 168,000 people a month were coming over?
Unfortunately, we cannot litigate that one in this particular segment. We're going to leave it there.